What's good? 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 Let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know where you are checking in from. Like always, drop your location. Let me know where you're checking in from. Make sure this mic is right. This chat right here. Shelby, North Carolina in the building. Let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know where you're checking in from. Tonight, we are going to be talking about cargo van, how to scale a cargo van business. Let me know where you are checking in from. North Carolina, Shelby, North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. We got the Bay Area. Where else we got? Hit that like button for me too as you come in. Hit that like button for me if you haven't subscribed yet. Please do so for more content like this and cargo van content, box truck content. Go ahead and subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. St. Louis in the building, Memphis in the building. We got Columbus, Ohio in the building, Mississippi. We got San Antonio. We got St. Louis, the 314. Our neighbor to the southwest. We got Youngstown, Ohio in the building. We got Ohio in the building. So we got a little bit of everywhere. Nothing, we got somebody representing the West Coast, the Bay Area. So we got the Midwest, we got the West Coast. We got the Southeast. We got Florida. We got the DMV. We got the East. I don't see nobody from the East Coast, but we got the Southeast. We got the South. All right. Yep. Lake Wales, Florida. We got Arkansas in the building. All right, we got a little gumbo of people in the building. So we talking about cargo vans tonight. This is a special edition. I didn't want to do this on Tuesday nights. I want to keep Tuesday reserved for box trucking and just logistics news. I get a little news before I do my little presentation. So I kind of wanted to keep that reserved. The cargo van industry is like a whole, even though it falls under logistics, it's still like a whole thing within itself. And I can spend a whole 2-3 hours just talking about that within itself. So I wanted to separate it and do this separate this week because like I said in the earlier video last week, there's a peak in interest in the cargo van industry, and I'm not sure why it is. I'm assuming it's because the whole rental truck thing, and that's just my assumption. That's just an educated guess, based on all the facts that we know. I'm just, an educated guess that the peak in cargo van business is because a lot of people are getting turned away because they can't meet the requirements that the rental truck companies are putting out there now to get a rental truck. A lot of these requirements, a new person that's looking to get into the industry is just not going to meet them. All right, so I think they're pushing, instead of turning people away, they're saying, hey, well, we got these cargo vans, there's no stipulations on them. The cost of entry is a little bit cheaper and you can still make a little bit, you can still make a decent money. And I'm going to kind of do a short little compare and contrast tonight. I'm not going to go over, the basic steps of getting your authority and your license and all that. I'm going to leave that. I'm not going to leave it up to you, but it's similar to the box truck. You can do it the same way. So I got a course that tells you how to do that, or you can just watch one of the box truck videos that'll tell you how to go to the Secretary of State, get your LLC, structure your business. There's different requirements regarding DOT with vans. I'll talk a little bit about that, but I'm not going to go too deep into that because that's a whole nother hour within itself. Because with the van, with the DOT, it can get confusing because there's a lot of state bylaws in certain states that require specific numbers. It might not be a DOT number, but they may require a carrier number, and it depends on your state. So you kind of look up your state to see if that's required. I'll touch on that briefly, but the whole purpose of this um, broadcast is specifically on scaling, a little bit of growing, but scaling your business, because and this is for people that want to scale. If you're just looking to get into it and um, just have your one van running, and that's fine too. But with a van, you're earning a lot less than a box truck. So if you want to see those big numbers, you got to operate at scale. So that's what we're going to be talking about um, tonight. All right. And I want to kind of reserve tonight just for cargo van questions. And the reason why is because I think it's going to be enough cargo van questions. I kind of want to reserve Tuesday night for the box trucks. I just want to focus mainly on cargo vans tonight, guys. So I appreciate if you just keep the questions for cargo vans, and then the box truck questions. I'll be here in 2 days, Tuesday night for that. Let me just make sure we got everything up and running. 1 second, guys. What else we got in the building? We got Fayetteville. He said box trucks are too expensive to own or rent. Still make lots of money with cargo vans. Yeah, so you can still make money with cargo vans. I'm gonna go over it tonight. What time is it here? 7:42. All right. If you haven't hit that like button yet, guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. As you know, this is me doing this on my own time just to kind of help people out. This is like my philanthropy. This is part of my philanthropy and giving back. A lot of knowledge that I've gained over the years. This is how part of the way that I give back. Giving back is not always monetary. Giving knowledge is more, to me, more than money. Once you give a person knowledge, they can take that knowledge and go generate their own money. You know what I'm saying? So giving knowledge, educating, passing off information that you learned over the years is also a form of philanthropy. All right. So give me a few more minutes. We'll get it going about 7:45. I'm going to load this presentation up on my end. Oh, I ain't ready for it yet. Give it 2 more minutes and then we'll get going. Tampa in the building. How's everybody doing this Sunday night? Hope everybody's football team won. Hope everybody's coming into the room with the winning football team, the winning spirit. I'm waiting for basketball season to start. Me personally, see what these Bulls do this year. And it might be some Tuesday nights where I might have to have a game on and be in here doing a live stream. So it's getting close. I really don't care too much about the Bears, but I hope your football team is doing good this season. If you haven't hit that like button for me, go ahead and hit that like button because we're about to get started. We are about to get started. Reserve your questions for the end because I'm not going to really be looking at the chat. Once I pull up this presentation and start talking, I'm not going to really be looking at the chat. And we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. All right, 7:44. Let's go ahead and get started. What's a minute, right? All right, so let me pull this up big so I can see it. Give me 1 second, y'all. I want to kill this. We're going to pull this up. All right, so tonight's presentation, special broadcast, how to scale a cargo van delivery business. All right, how to scale a cargo van delivery business. All right. So just like I said earlier, same thing as any other business in logistics, trucking, semi-trucking, whatever. First thing, determine your niche. There's a couple different niches with cargo vans. I'm going to talk about 2 tonight, but I'm going to really focus on 1 because one of them a lot of people opt not to do. I'm going to focus on the one most people are interested in, but there's a few different niches. we'll discuss the two in a second. All right. Once you decide your niche, you're going to start researching that niche. All right. Start researching it. Don't just jump into the game without doing some research prior. All right. So that when you start the process, you know which direction. You don't want to start the process and then uh, have to backpedal because you hit a roadblock. You kind of want to know which direction you're going so it can be a smooth process. All right. Create your business plan as well. A lot of people, don't, business plan isn't, it's not something that's as necessary it was as it was back in the day. But I think, creating a solid business plan, for yourself, um, um, still is something good to do. It's a good exercise, I think, a good business exercise to do. So don't count building a business plan out. All right. Then from there, once you do all your planning and research, you can start the building process with beginning with the structuring of your business. Right, we talked about that briefly. Dealing with your Secretary of State, your LLC, your incorporation, however you decide to structure your business. Same thing as any other business. Obtaining the proper licenses and insurance. Also purchasing. Hold on one second, guys. I gotta kill this comment because it's in the way here. It's in the way. All right. All right. All right. Proper licenses and insurance, and also starting to purchase the vehicles. I'm not going to focus too much on vehicles. I may touch on a few different vehicles that people are interested in, but you want to kind of determine in this process which direction you want to go in. Are you going to rent vehicles? Are you going to purchase vehicles? Because like I said, we're talking about scaling, and I believe scaling is very important if you're going to be in the cargo van business and you want to make some money. Now, like I said before, if you're just fine with, you and your one cargo van, you can make a fair living, a decent living. But if you want to see those bigger numbers, those six-figure numbers, and ultimately maybe one day seeing that then in the cargo van business, you're going to have to scale. You're going to have to scale very aggressively. All right. All right. So here's the two forms that I want to talk about, but we're really going to focus on the delivery service, the last mile, final mile. There's two different niches you can focus on. One is a courier or courier, depends on what part of the country, how you pronounce that. We say courier. All right. So courier companies are businesses which are responsible for delivery of packages, documents, and mail between two parties. All right. And then you have a delivery service like last mile, final mile, whichever one, same thing. Final mile delivery, also known as last mile delivery, is the last step of the product's journey. It is the point at which the good is finally delivered to the end customer. All right, so a lot of people are get confused between the two. All right, so I'm gonna give you an example of a courier. All right, a courier just deals with packages and pretty much just documents. Here's an example. I'm a lawyer. All right, I'm a lawyer. I'm in court today. It's Monday morning. I'm in court. I got three clients, three different times. I got to be in court three different times today. So I'm gonna be in court all day. I got three clients I'm fighting for today. All right. I got a morning, I got an afternoon, and I got a late afternoon. All right. My mid-afternoon client, I forgot a important piece of important document on my desk at my office that I have to present to the judge at 12 o'clock. All right. Forgot it on my desk. My office is across town. So what I would do is I would call a courier service. All right. A courier service is more on demand. All right. That courier service is going to send a messenger. Now, depending on the market you're in, big or small, messenger could come in many different forms as far as how they get around. Here we have couriers that are in their vehicles. We also have bike messengers. Those are also a form of couriers. Couriers are more on demand. So I would call this courier service. I would send them to my office across town. My secretary would get the document, give it to the courier, and then the courier would bring that from across town to court to me so that I can have it in time. It's on demand. All right. Mostly documents, small packages, things of that nature. All right. The earning potential is okay, but it's not gonna get you what a last mile, final mile cargo van delivery business would get you. All right, even though it's on demand and it has a premium price point, you're dealing with a piece of paper. It could be something as small as this in an envelope, but you just need it from point A to point B, and you need it on demand. So you're going to pay for that on demand service, but it, if you're looking to run a business, scale a business, as a contractor, it may not be conducive for that. Now, if you own the courier company as a whole, then that's a different story. All right, now delivery service, final mile, you're dealing with an array of different things. You could be dealing with office supplies. You could be dealing with exercise equipment. There's accounts that you can get where you might be doing, like, I know Select Express does Peloton. You may have 4 or 5, maybe 6 Pelotons on your van, and that may come with assembly as well. I know Bye Bye Baby, you can do that in a van where you're just delivering baby cribs. You can fit about 7, 8, maybe 9, 10 stops, and probably more in a cargo van because they're in flat pack boxes, depending on the van that you have, and that's going to come with assembly. Um, the Container Store is another account that we ran with the van in the past. There's a company here that has a plethora of different accounts, and they mix and match you. So they do staples. They have cabinet contract. They got a liquor distribution contract. So if you're working for this particular, I'm not going to say their name because they're here and they're like a local company, but they have a plethora of different contracts. So you're contracted for them. You may be picking up, you may have some staples on your van. You may have a cabinet or two on your van. You may have to make a few liquor stops to a few liquor stores. So this is what final mile cargo van delivery is. It pays more obviously than the courier because you're dealing with a little bit, you're dealing with more stuff. It can be heavy, it could be light. You could be doing final mile with assembly. You could just be doing package drop off. You could just focus on staples. You could just focus on Office Depot. So it's an array of different things, and it pays more. All right, certain accounts you're gonna be piece heavy. Piece heavy means a lot of pieces. You may have 100. Like if you're dealing with Office Depot or you're dealing with Staples, you may have 100 plus pieces. All right. Whereas if you're dealing with, let's say, Peloton, you may have 5 or 6 stops, and those stops will probably take you all day because those stops come with assembly. So it all depends on uh, how you want to run your business. Are you capable of doing, let's say, a Bye Bye Baby contract with your van? Are you mechanically inclined? Do you know how to assemble things? If not, then the Staples or the Office Depot contracts may be for you. So that's kind of the difference between the two. And obviously, most people pretty much go with the delivery service, the last mile, final mile, because ultimately it just pays more. All right, so let's talk about some pros and cons real quick. Um, Pros, lower startup cost compared to a truck, obviously, right? Lower insurance cost, right? Lower maintenance costs. A lot of the vans people use, it's like 4. All right, you got your Chevy Express, you got your Ford Transit, you got your Ram ProMaster, and then you got your Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. All right, so out of the 3 out of those 4 are American made. All right, are American made. So labor parts, things of that nature are fairly easy. All right. Less federal regulations. I spoke on that briefly earlier. Um, um, Locally, under 10,000 pounds, don't need a DOT. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And you would have to check your state regulations. And here's the thing where people get confused. Well, if you're crossing state lines, do you need a DOT? Blah, 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 blah. In some states, and I know here we're regulated, we're regulated on top of DOT. All right, so we have what's called the Illinois Commerce Commission here, and abbreviations you see ICC. So you have to get an ICC number. So we have to still apply with the Illinois Commerce Commission to get a number. I don't care what size vehicle you're in here. I think Texas is the same way, and there's a few other states that are the same way. So even if you're in a car here, let's say you're doing medical courier, you're a medical courier, and you're just doing medical delivery in your personal vehicle. If you're doing it on a commercial level, you have to get an ICC number. If you got a van, you got to get an ICC number. If you're in a family van doing package delivery, if you're doing it on a commercial level, All right, and you're dealing with a logistics company. That's going to be one of the requirements because it's regulated here. You got to get an ICC number. So even if the DOT even if you're running interstate and you don't meet the requirements to get a DOT for interstate in this state, you still have to get an Illinois Commerce Commission number. Now every state is like that. Illinois is like that. Texas, I think they call theirs the Texas DOT or USTX DOT or something. The reason I know is because I had a truck down there years ago, and we were running for this company out of York, Pennsylvania, and this is before I started my trucking company. I worked for this mobile billboard company. This was, man, maybe like 15, 16 years ago, whatever. And I got stopped by the Texas version of our ICC, our Illinois Commerce Commission. They have their own commission down there that regulates trucks, and I got stopped and man, you don't have a Texas DOT and blah 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 blah. Well, it doesn't require. No, you got to have a Texas specific Texas. They regulate, so you got to look at your state bylaws when it comes to the cargo van industry. All right, it gets kind of tricky with cargo vans. All right, so you got to make sure that's not something I can. I mean, I can look into it, but if you need to look into that for yourself if you plan on doing it, and if you're in a certain state and you try to apply for a contract, more times than not, the logistics company will know if you need it or not because it'll be a requirement. But still look into it on your own. All right, lower fuel costs. All right, compared to a truck. All right, some of the cons: less earning potential compared to trucks. Obviously, why? Go into the next one because you have a smaller space capacity. It's only so much you can put on a van compared to a truck, a 16-foot truck, a 26-foot truck. It's just only so much you can put. So obviously, you're gonna have less space capacity. The logistics companies know this. That's why they pay you less. You're on a scale. So fewer opportunities, and the fewer opportunities coincide with what we just talked about because you have a limited space capacity. So there's only so much you can do. All right, and then it's more competitive. All right, the cargo van business is more competitive. Why? Because the barrier to entry is a lot easier. All right, so like when I be talking like middle mile and final mile. All right, final mile is easy. You going Indeed or any job board, every single logistics company is hiring for final mile. Why? Because it's labor intensive. No one wants to do that. They'd rather get the 26 footer and go on a load board, which is more competitive because you're looking at loads on a board, right? And everybody's competing and fighting for those loads as they pop up. The early bird gets the worm. You got to be up first thing in the morning when those loads start hitting on the load board because the later you get up, you sleep in. Guess what? You're going to get the BS, right? More competitive. It's more competitive middle mile than final mile. Final mile isn't that competitive. It's less people looking to get into it. And when you get into it, it's dedicated. You're on a contract. You're doing lows. It's a 5, 6, 7 day a week contract. Your route is guaranteed. You don't have to get up. Same thing with the vans because that barrier to entry is a lot easier to get in. It's cheaper, right? It's more competitive when you get into those logistics companies. And we're going to talk about that in a second. All right. Why scaling the cargo van delivery business is important. All right. Lower gross compared to box trucks. All right. So in order to maximize full earning potential for operating a cargo van business, you must operate with the intentions on scaling up. And it's just like I said a minute ago, if you just want to get your van and make you a quick, and it's a wide scale because it depends on the contract, it depends on the piece count, it depends on what you're doing, your market. All right, the scale can be anywhere from 50,000, and that's, I really want to say 40, but 50 to about 100 grand. Average, if you're really working serious, you're going to be around the 70 some thousand mark. All right. If you want to see those six figures, you're talking about quarter mil and up, you got to operate at scale because you're working with smaller earning potential because you're in a van. You're not making what a truck is making. So you got to be at scale a lot larger. And I'm going to show you here. I did this graph for you. All right. And this is a final mile truck. This is not middle mile. This is not middle mile, guys. This is final mile. All right. One final mile truck. does about $250,000 a year. And this is a final mile truck that's working. These guys are on a 6, 5, 6, 7 day a week contract. All right. And that truck is working. That contractor that's working on that truck, he either has one guy or two guys working with him. And even when one comes off, they got two other guys. They're strong. They're running that truck. That truck doesn't miss a beat. It's on top. It's on top of its game. A final mile box truck can do $250,000 a year. It takes about 4 to 5 to do $1,000,000 a year. That's it. All right. And this is this one truck is the where you can make about 300, max at about 300 with the right contract, running 7 days a week. All right. But a final mile truck can do 2 to 250 on average, about 250 for a dedicated, per operator who's running that truck every day, not missing a day, getting no stops done, not no minimum stops, not no 10 stops. All right. I'm in a big market. You can easily get 15 to 25 stops here if your truck can fit them on a good day. You might not be able to fit 25 stops every day, but 15 to 20. I've had furniture delivered. I had some stuff delivered from the Room Place. I don't know if the Room Place is a national. I haven't. Have I seen the Room Place in other markets? I don't know. But the Room Place is like a big furniture store here in Chicago, and I was the first stop. And that truck was full to the point where, by me being the first stop, they couldn't even fit my stuff in the truck. They closed the door, and my sectional was strapped to the outside of the back of the truck. Like literally, the door was closed, the sectional was strapped and ratchet to the outside around to the back, hugging the back door. That's how packed the truck was. I mean, obviously, my stuff was in plastic and stuff, so I didn't trip. But I was the first stop. It didn't fit on the truck. They had to strap it to the back door of the 26-footer. All right, so $250,000 ain't nothing. All right, one van. This is a car, but I couldn't find a little emoji thing for a van. This is a van that's working. About $1,500 a week. All right, about $1,500, and $1,500 a week for a van is a van that's running strong. All right. This isn't a minimum. This is pretty much a maximum for a van. All right. And the van is running strong 5 days a week. All right. Average for a van, honest, about 1,000, 1,200. All right. A week. This is a strong van running locally. This is a local grab, guys. Local. This is not an OTR van. This is not expedited. We're talking about contractual, local, dedicated logistics company. All right. Both of these. All right. One van, about 72,000. All right. And that's running serious, about 1,500 a week. Takes about 4 vans to do what one final mile box truck does. So this is why it's important in van to scale if you really want to see those numbers. And then I'll give you an example of a contract I've had at scale. The people that follow me, they've heard this before, but to the new subscribers, I have to tell you this for transparency. All right. About 4 vans to equal about what one 26-foot box truck final mile does, about 15 vans to touch an M. All right. 15 vans to touch an M. Now, it may seem like a lot, but it's attainable. I've done it. All right. I've done it in the past. So it can get done. All right. Obviously, market will depend. It depends on your infrastructure, how you run your business. There's a lot of things that come into play to scale to this point. All right. And we're going to talk about that. All right, so there's 6 steps to scaling any business. This is a universal scale. I'm just going to parallel it with the cargo van industry. I've actually spoke on this scale maybe 2 podcasts ago on the Mentors podcast on Tuesday nights, but tonight I'm going to use the same scale because it's a universal scale for business, and I'm going to use it in comparison to scaling a cargo van delivery business. All right, so step 1 is always committing to grow. All right, you got to know going in when you want to start your cargo van business, you need to know, look, am I just going to take my cargo van and I'm going to make me 72,000 a year, but I'm going to really work hard and try to touch 100 grand and be fine with that? Or I want to commit to scale. I want to start off with 1 and eventually I want to go to 2. I want to go to 3. I want to go to 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, sky's the limit. You need to know this going in, because there's going to be some factors later on that we're going to talk about that you need to know from the beginning, because you got to, those numbers got to be right. All right. So when you're going into bidding with these contracts, you might not want to bid or go look for contracts where you may just be content with your one now, and then later on you might want to scale, because the pay scale might not be conducive to a person at that particular logistics company for scale. You want to know this going in so that you can start looking, so you can look for logistics companies that you have the growth, that are going to be open for growing a cargo van business. All right. Step 2, build strong management skill set. All right. Hire the right people for the roles and the team. All right. If you're planning on scaling a cargo van delivery business, and remember we looked at this graph, I'm gonna go back to this graph, and you want to get to this level, if $1 million is your goal, you want to get to this level, you're not going to be able to do this alone. All right. You're not going to be able to do this alone. You're going to need a team. And that's why it goes back to what I'm talking about here, knowing what you want to do before you start applying, because you need to apply with the company that's that's going to have the opportunity for you to grow. You don't want to get with a company off jump and you want to scale where there's no room for growth there. All right. So you're going to have a team. All right. Team is very important. You're going to need an operations manager. You're going to need a fleet manager, and you're going to need some type of clerical assistant to handle paperwork. All right. Operations managers going to have to deal with all these drivers every single morning. You're going to need a person to do. So you're not going to be able to deal with that. As an owner, you need to just delegate. Because see, what happens is, if you're dealing with all of these people by yourself and you're handling operations every morning, you're dealing with the fleet of the vans, you're dealing with the paperwork, you're going to fail. You're going to fail. All right. Because there's going to be too many people pulling and tugging you. And then on top of that, you're dealing with the company, the logistics company. All right. So you gotta leave enough room in your margin at a later date to, as you scale, because you're going to be bringing on people to help you delegate different things, and you got to make sure there's enough money coming in to pay these people. And these vans are out there working. Part of the income that you're earning off that particular van, that driver is paying for themselves while that van is out there. But collectively, all that money, now there has to be enough money to pay for management. All right. So you gotta understand from the beginning, you're gonna have to bring on some management if you plan on scaling. Operations, like I said, to handle the drivers and the operational duties. Fleet, to deal with those vehicles. Once you get to a certain amount of vehicles, those vehicles got to be maintained. Like those checks and balances have to be put in place, and that's a job within itself. Someone has to focus on just that. The fuel, the oil changes, the issues that drivers say they have, checking them daily. All right. You don't want to, driver get out. Let's say he um, scratches the vehicle up, and then 2-3 weeks later you see the scratch, and then who did it, no one's going to admit to it. Checking those vans every day with a checklist. All right. And then clerical, that's going to come with a lot of paperwork, making sure the paperwork is in order, because you want to make sure people get paid correctly. You want to make sure your checks and balances are in place. All right. Step 3, building partnerships. Find the best logistics company to provide the freight. All right. Going with we talked about niches earlier. Knowing what you want to do, knowing what you're capable of doing. All right. Do you want to do Pelotons? Do you want to do Nordic tracks? All right. You can do 4 or 5 of those a day. You can fit about 5 treadmills on a van. All right. And deliver them and do assembly. Obviously, it's going to take 2 men. Do you want to deal with that type of liability? All right. Do you want to do container store? All right. Pays about $11 a stop. You may get 10 stops on the van, but that contract isn't really conducive for scale. How do I know? Because we've had it before. All right. Or do you want to do package delivery? All right. Package delivery, you're dealing with a lot of pieces. You're going to get paid per piece. Depending on your bargain and negotiation skills, and we'll get into that in step 5 and 6, will determine how you can as I say, lean on logistics company, look for their weaknesses. They look for the owner operators' weaknesses all the time. I look for their weaknesses. All right. And I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna tell you how to do that. All right. So find the best logistics company that you want to do. If you want to do just, office supplies, look, most of these supplies are going to be getting dropped at the doorstep. If we get on a route where it's dealing with schools, like my routes for Office Depot were in the city, and a lot of those stops were schools and government buildings, courthouses, hospitals, all right, schools, and it was pallets of paper. Like when you're dealing with like say schools, or like we had GM, one of the GM plants was on our route. They will order 2-3 pallets of paper like every week. It's a big huge building with a lot of offices, and they were making copies all day, so they would order pallets of paper, copy paper. All right. And no, that was just literally pulling into the dock and unloading it. So if you don't want the liability of sending your drivers into people's home, you just want them to do doorstep stuff, then maybe the Staples and the Office Depot may be for you. If you don't want the liability of people going to homes, building, like, let's say baby cribs is another one. Bye bye baby. It can be a one-man job, but in certain situations it may be a two-man job. Pays about $40-$50 a stop. All right, so that all determines on what you want to do, but you need to figure it out. Research the companies before you build the business, so that once you get everything in place and it's time to start applying at these logistics companies, knowing which logistics companies you want to go with. All right, step 4, establish standardized processes, appropriating management and establishing proper training. All right, going back to step 2, you got your management in place. Now it's time to train them. All right, so then they can train the drivers. You don't want to do the day to day. You're doing your own day to day by delegating and handling all the mental strain of running an operation of, let's say, 10 to 15 vans. That's enough work within itself. So, like I said before, imagine every morning dealing with 15 drivers. You know, hey, Mark. Hey, man. Hey, where the keys at, man? Hey, man, my van won't start. Man, where the jumper pack at? Man, they saying my ain't nothing on the dock for me. What should I do? Should I wait here? Man. Hey, Mark, I need to request a day off? Next Tuesday. Whatever. My kid got into the Christmas assembly at school. That's a lot to be bombarded with one person. All right, so you got to have those different managers and staff, and they have to be trained, and they have to be trained to train the delivery drivers accordingly. A big reason why the DSP model, why there's so many screw ups over there, is lack of training. You know why it's lack of training? Because they got so much volume when they're bringing these drivers in, and the turnover rate is so high. Those DSPs, we're talking about Amazon on the final mile side, are under so much pressure because they have certain protocols and metrics that they have to meet to satisfy Amazon. That, man, when they pulling those people in, they giving them a brief training, but it's not extensive. You know what I'm saying? It's not extensive. You know what I'm saying? And that's why so many mistakes are made with that DSP contract. Accidents, fatality accidents, because they're under extreme pressure. You're talking about 180 was it 180 stops? Some of these guys made 180 pieces, and they're out 14 hours a day. So that's a whole nother topic. But training. You want to train these guys because they're out on the road, and especially if you're dealing with a contract like Staples or Office Depot, those are pieces. All right, my vehicles were doing about 50 to 60 stops, about 180, 200 pieces. That's about 50, 60, sometimes 70, 80 stops, depending. All right, that's a lot of stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. It's different when you're running a van. You're doing 5 stops, like you're running Peloton. You're dropping off Pelotons, and that's 5 stops, right? And you maybe get paid $500-$600 for that. All right, pays more obviously because the stuff is heavier, requires 2 people, and you use some slight assembly involved. But that vehicle is only going to 5 different places. All right, versus this vehicle having to go to 50, 60 different places. It's more liability. All right, more room for error, more margin for error, I should say. All right, so proper training, on what to do. It could be a market like here. I noticed some of those guys when I see them doing delivery, like Amazon and there's other companies that do final mile van delivery work, because they're doing so many stops and the stops are maybe so close together. And the short, they'll pull up and they're on the time they're trying to get done, because they might have 150 stops. That's a lot. All right, they leave the van running. Here, you leave that van running, somebody gonna jump in that van and take off. So that's proper training. You know what? I understand you're trying to, decrease your time, but unfortunately, you have to turn the van off at each stop. I don't care if it's right next door. You got to turn the van off, because somebody rolled off with that van. Now you're liable for the vehicle, which is yours, which is insured, but you're also liable for all that cargo. All right. So training, and continuous training. Don't just train in one time. Always go to, like, what I like to do is, like, if there's a seminar in your or workshops in your field, and maybe say it's close by, it's coming to town, even if you want to travel, go to workshops, see what the new technology is to make the job and to make your vehicles run a little bit more efficient. Always stay in the know. And as you learn, don't ever stop learning. As you learn, pass that information along to your management, train them so then they can train the delivery drivers, so your business can run as efficiently as possible. All right, step 5 is identifying core competence. All right, so this is where it gets good. Knowing your advantages compared to competitors. I'm going to tell you what your advantages are. I'm not going to let you get started and then try to figure. I'm going to tell you these should be your 2 advantages: manpower and vehicles. All right, if you want to be successful in this business, the cargo van business, remember, it's competitive now. These should be your 2 strengths that you should focus on: manpower, which is hard now. It's hard nowadays. It ain't like how it was in my day. Manpower and vans. All right. Those are going to be your 2 strengths. All right. That's knowing your advantages compared to your competitors. The more manpower you got, the more vans you got, that's your competitive edge in this business. All right. Especially going into those logistics companies, because there's going to be other people there with their little small fleet. It's going to be other people there. They're going to be individuals. And guess what? It's going to be days where they screw up, don't come to work, oversleep, get drunk, miss all that stuff. And you have to be ready. Like, I got a van. I got an extra van ready to go. Or you know what, man, we can take it. Hey, your route is kind of light today. Your route is kind of light today. I'm going to split that route up for this contractor. Then come and we're going to split this route up. And I'm going to put on, well, we could take, I'll take that route, split it up. You're going to make the extra money, but you letting them know, the logistics company, that, hey, you ready for any and everything. And then that's going to take you into step 6, articulating your competitive strength, developing a clear articulate of a company's competitive strength in the eyes of the customer. The customer is the logistics company. So going back to step 5, look, I'm prepared. I got everything. I got vans and I got manpower. What's up? Because when it gets time to go to that drawing board, when you feel like, you know what, look, I need this, man. I hear what you're saying and all, but man, we too strong in here, man. We doing too much, man. I need this. I know you paying that, but look, man, I got 15, 20 vans in here, and we covering your ass every day. If you're working for a logistics company and they got a lot of accounts, that means they got a lot of contractors. Every day there's going to be stuff left on the dock. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. When we were running Office Depot, I had 9 vehicles running. I say vehicles because it was a van contract, but I was running mostly trucks for that contract. I was running 6 16-footers, and I was running 3 vans. Now, because I was running 16-footers instead of vans, they gave me the heavy stuff because I had a guarantee. That was my competitive strength. I had manpower and I got trucks, right? And I could lean on them. But the way they kind of push back was like, all right, you want to guarantee, and we need him because, hey man, Mark, you got an extra truck, man. This guy didn't come in, and we got 2 or 3 routes still on the dock, because they can't tell Office Depot, man, you know what, we got 3 routes still on the dock. Office Depot don't want to hear that. Office Depot's API, when people order stuff on OfficeDepot.com and their API is connected to Dynamics, T-Forces, internal system of how they route and handle their freight, they already given the customer a delivery date and time. The customer doesn't understand there's a third party, nor do they care, because they purchase from Office Depot. Office Depot doesn't want to go back to the customer and say, all right, your stuff isn't coming today. Because now that got to get routed to retention because they want to retain this customer. So they call Marky Mark, because Marky Mark is always known for, man, Mark, I don't know what that guy got a lot of vehicles and he's always has people. That's your comparison. No, man, Mark, the 300 route is killing us. Can we go down to 275? No, I can't do it. Can't do it. I can't do it. But Mark, man, we can't. I don't know what y'all gonna do. I don't know. So the way they pushed back on me was just, man, give him all the heavy stuff. Since he got these trucks in here, give him all the 200-piece stuff. Since we got to pay him a guarantee, give him the heaviest routes. Because see, here's the thing: they're paying $1. It was $1 a piece back then. It's like $1.75 now. It would be days where your volume fluctuates, right? 50-piece day, I'm still guaranteed $300 for every single truck. That's 9 vehicles. That's $2,700 gross a day. And I chopped it up in thirds. So the company we got $900 a day in net profit. But my competitive strength was my vehicles and my manpower. And I'm telling you, if you want to scale a cargo van business, that has to be your competitive edge. You have to have vehicles and you got to have manpower. You got to have the man. You can have the money to purchase the vehicles, but you got to have the manpower. The manpower is going to be harder than getting the vehicles. If you got the money and the credit, the manpower is going to be harder in today's times. All right. So that's your competitive edge, and your customers are going to know it, and they're going to always rely on you when they get in these tricky situations. And then that's going to ultimately give you those bonuses that you're not accounting for throughout the year when you're doing like your projections and things of that nature. You're not accounting for, these bonuses. I look at them as bonuses, but every day it didn't fail. Man, Mark, I got 3 routes on the dock. Yeah, I can help you out with one. And then when it got time to renegotiate, man, I didn't never have to budge, because guess what? We never screwed up. We always helped out. All right. And then you got other people that are trying to build their fleet within that same logistics company too. All right. So you got to know your core competence, and it got to be felt. It has to be felt in there. So you know what I did? When I see other people trying to compete and thought they could keep up with me, we just went and wrapped 3 of the trucks. Wrap them. Didn't have to be wrapped. They only called for white vehicles. But I wanted to make a statement. So not only was I leaning on the logistics company because they needed me and I understood that, they fought back with giving me the heavy routes. Fine, no problem. But I also had to let the other competition know that, look, you can't push us out. I'm too strong. It's very competitive in the cargo van delivery business. It's very competitive, very competitive. Everybody's fighting for those good routes. Even coming through the door, you're not going to get, like Final Mile. You come through the door, you're not going to get the route that you want. You're going to get the route that the people there that have tenure that already been there don't want. And as routes fall off, people with tenure, hey, I want that route. I want this route. I want that route. But when you build up your strength, you can lean and say, look, I want that route. You know what? My trucks are traveling too far because they got to come from my yard. They got to come out to Wooddale, to Dynamics. And then from once they load up, my route might be way in Lake Zurich somewhere. So from my yard to the logistics company, it may be 30 miles, an hour drive, which it was. Then they're there low enough for an hour, sometimes maybe 2 hours, depending. They got dock workers there looking for freight and stuff. The operations there wasn't good. Sometimes the freight was on the dock, sometimes it wasn't. And then they might have to drive from there another hour to their route. Me, I said no. If I wanted my trucks to come back towards, once they got out there and I wanted them to come back to the city. Because once they got done with their route, it was only a 5-10 minute drive back to the yard. I didn't want them sitting in traffic for another 2 hours once they finish their route in rush hour traffic coming from way up north by Lake Zurich or Gurney, way up by Wisconsin, back into the city during rush hour. Because then you got to hear, well, man, I'm sitting in traffic, man. Man, you ain't paying flat rate. Who's accounting for the time I'm sitting in traffic? No, but I was able to lean. Look, my truck's got to come back to the city. Well, man, we don't got no city routes. Well, look, this dude done missed 2 every week cleaning up his mess. He misses like every Monday he calls off. Man, you call me to do it and I always provide a truck. So clearly he don't want that route. Give him the route out there. Man, you right, Mark. You right. All right, because if not, man, I'm gonna have to figure something else out. And guess what? I got the route. All right. So that's what you got to do. Step 5 and step 6 are very, 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 very important. All right. Know your advantages compared to your competitors. All right. And develop a clear articulation of company's competitive strength in the eyes of the customer. The customer is going to be the logistics company. They need to know that you mean business. They can depend on you. And when it comes to talking that money talk, they can't deny you. All right. They can't deny you. All right. Benefits on company growth, how scaling affects company growth. All right. Increases leverage. More vans, more manpower leads to more opportunity with logistics company. Just spoke on that. The more vans you have, right? The more manpower, the more opportunities. There's always people falling off. There's always people screwing up. Volume fluctuate. It keeps going up. Trust me. Every single company, I never see a company not have opening on the job boards. All right. They all got openings. They all got openings. It means it's opportunity. The scaling is endless with cargo vans. It's just like the final mile business. It's endless. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. So the more you scale, the more opportunities are available for you. Also, it boosts your footprint. The more visible you are, the more business you attract. Like when I said, like those guys, the only reason I did that, like when I wrapped those 3 vehicles when we were there, it was really because someone made me mad, and I just wanted them to see a few of my trucks roll in with just fully wrapped because none of theirs were. And then that made me look even better in the logistics company eyes. In the first day, I remember I said, man, what they say? Man, everybody was just looking and like, wow, everybody was just so man. Because when you go into these logistics companies, everything is all white. So I just wanted to put a staple in there, like, look, this is what it is. We here. And that's going to boost your footprint because even still, when those vehicles did travel around, that Brandon was able to bring in more business. You would be surprised that and I'm not going to really talk about that. I don't have it set in the presentation, but you'd be surprised how many small warehouses are in your city. You know what I'm saying, that don't rely on a logistics company because they operate at a small scale, but they may not have enough business that a logistics company will want to do business with them. We were able to pick up there's a company here that we do they do powder coating. So people send in like all their lawn furniture, their wrought iron lawn furniture, expensive stuff, wrought iron. And they charge them an arm and a leg. All right. And we contracted with them. So we get paid to pick the stuff up, drop it off at the powder coating company. In 3-4 weeks, whenever it's done, we pick the stuff back up. They give us a route every week. And we charge them $100 both ways. So each route may have 8, 9, 10 stops. All right. That's $1,000. And then the next week, and then we do 2 routes. We do a pickup one day, drop off, and then the next day we do a pickup from the powder coating company and then drop off to a customer's. And the rate just stops rate 5 to 10 stops. All right. But this is a company that can't, a logistics company isn't going to work with them because they only have 1 or 2 days a week worth of work. But it's a small business that they have good volume for that business, that small business. So they work with, a small mom and pop type operation like us. You know what I'm saying? And the reason they saw us because they saw one of my trucks and they emailed and they called. And the footprint. So you having a good footprint, a big footprint, people knowing, seeing your vehicles, the bigger your fleet are, the more people are going to see you. All right, because your stuff is going to be spread all over the city. So you might want to have maybe a couple vehicles that are wrapped or lettered so that your footprint is visible, so you can attract more business without even going out having to seek that business. All right, provides validation. Most businesses fail within the first year. A business that succeeds and can scale shows customers that you know what you're doing. All right, it is what it is. All right, if you can get to two, three, four, five. And this is not jumping out the gate with it. I advise against it. All right, when people ask me, man, how many trucks should I start with? I always say just one. I always say just one because coming into the game, you looking at if I get this many trucks, I can times this time, but you don't know the business. And it's like I always say, you jump in with two, three. I don't care if you got the money. All right, who cares, right? You don't know the business. So now you're just amplifying your losses. You're going to lose at the beginning. It's a learning curve that you have to meet. There's a learning curve in this industry. And in any industry, there's a learning curve. So why would you want to jump in with 3, 4, 5 vehicles and amplify your losses times how many vehicles? I would just want to lose with one vehicle. I don't want to lose with 3. I want to learn the industry with one and then scale. And this is why a lot of people fail to jump in. And this is not a knock to nobody. I mean, I know people personally that have jumped in that have worked for me or known me and tried to mimic my success and jumped it out the gate with 4 or 5 because they saw me in scale and they thought, well, man, this is the key. No, Mark started with a pickup truck doing odds and end jobs off of Craigslist in 2010. Mark didn't even start with a rental truck. Mark started with a pickup truck doing odds and end jobs off of Craigslist. You talk about grassroots, that's some grassroots for your ass. I didn't even start with a rental truck. From the pickup truck, I saw, well, man, it went from just doing little small mattress jobs to just picking up a couch, dropping the couch off to people. Yeah, we see your ad just says a pickup truck, but I got a small dorm room. I'm just a college student. I only got a full-size mattress, 4 or 5 boxes, and a couple totes, and maybe 10 boxes of books. I go to the University of Chicago. Okay, we'll put it on the pickup truck, and I got to play Tetris and strap the mattress to the top of the pickup truck and ratchet strap it down. But then those requests just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where I'm trying to play Tetris with a 1-bedroom apartment because somebody don't have the money to pay a traditional moving company, but they can pay a person who's advertising in a pickup truck and try to make the best of it. I've had people say, you know what, whatever you can't fit, we'll just put it in the alley because they couldn't afford to pay them. So I'm like, well, man, maybe I should go rent a truck. We rented a truck. I scaled that, got good at that. Well, man, you know what, man, I'm every day, 7 days a week, 3 moves a day, but still getting calls. I could take more business. Got some other people I knew, went and rented another truck. Now those 2 trucks are booked 2, 3 moves a day, 6, 7 days a week, still getting calls. Man, I can run a 3rd truck. Went and got a 3rd truck, went and found some more people, ran a 3rd truck. Somebody said, well, maybe you should come off the truck because you on the move. The other trucks calling you trying to get payments. They run into issues. You 3 trucks came off the truck. They started buying trucks. 2014 came. That was my takeoff moment. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Can't catch me. All right. So, when you see people and they got a fleet of trucks and they're doing good at it, they're successful at it because they scaled the correct way. That does show some type of validation that individual knows what they're doing, and you're willing to take advice from this person, and you admire this person and their business strategies and their business acumen. All right, you know what I'm saying? So most businesses fail within that first year. So just surpassing that first and that second year is a feat within itself, but then to be able to scale and to operate at scale and manage it successfully, it's a great feeling. It shows that you really know what you're doing and you really have mastered your craft. All right, so some companies to apply for with cargo van. All right, I'm gonna just go over some of them. I'm not gonna like tell you which ones to go through. T-Force Logistics. This is where you want to go if you're looking for Office Depot. Capstone has a plethora. T-Force has they got Office Depot, and I think they still got Granger. Capstone, Granger is like toilet paper, paper towel, stuff like that. Capstone, another company that has some contracts. I think they deal with Staples. GoShare is a gig-based platform that's pretty good, that accepts cargo vans, and you should be able to find a decent amount of work on GoShare Select Express. This is where you want to go if you want to do cargo van work, for more home goods type things. They have Container Store, they have West M, they got Peloton, they got Home Goods, they got Cost World Market, they got Bye Bye Baby. So these are contracts that are going to take you into the home, white glove with assembly. So like Bye Bye Baby, you're gonna have to assemble the crib. Peloton, you're gonna have to assemble, uh, which is not that bad. It's pretty much just putting the screen on and stuff like that. There's other contracts that they have. They have Dick's. Dick's really calls for a box truck, but if you got a few Dicks, so the way they do it, they'll send you some different Dicks and the paperwork, and you go to the store, pick up the treadmill. So you may be able to get 4 or 5 treads in a cargo van, with Select Express. So that's what they have. So they have like more furniture, exercise equipment based. And then they also bought Go Configure. So they got like, if you're mechanically inclined, they do a lot of like basketball hoop installations. Like I'm talking about in ground. So if you know how to mix concrete, um and you can assemble the hoop, that's like a 2-day job. You go there, you mix the concrete, you set the pole, you put the anchors in the ground, set the pole, let it cure for 72 hours. I usually let for my customers, we usually let them cure for 72 hours, and then I send the crew back, and do the installation of the backboard to the pole. So they also have that. Echo Express is expedited OTR. They operating thing from a van up to a 26 footer. Laser Ship is more like package based delivery. They got mixed reviews. I spoke on Lasership, never done it, but they got mixed reviews. A lot of people don't seem to like Lasership for some reason. I don't know, never ran it. I just give the information because people ask me. I'll tell you if I've worked with the company before, like I always do. Watco, similar to T-Force, Watco's claim to fame is Staples. I've ran Staples before directly through Staples. It's the same as doing Office Depot. All right. A lot of paper. All right. When you're running Office Depot, you're running Staples, you're gonna have other things, ink cartridges and things of that nature. But for the most part, it's lots of paper. Lots of paper. All right. US Pack. US Pack has a lot of van work. They actually have work for personal vehicles. You can work and do courier delivery work with US Pack in a family van, your personal car. They have medical delivery. They have small parcel package delivery. They accept anything from a Hyundai Sonata, whatever vehicle, car, all the way up to 26-foot box truck. All right. And that's US Pack. All right, so that's the presentation, guys. I'm probably going to put this up on boxtruckcourses.com for download. It probably won't be a talk over lecture. It depends. I haven't decided, but either way, it'll be up there within a day or two if I get some time. If not, sometime this week, for download if you want it in download PDF format. And now we are going to do the Q&A. All right, Q&A session, guys. Q&A. All right, I hope you guys got something out of that. That was a lot of talking. So I'm gonna scroll back up to the top and see if there was any questions that came. But now is the time to drop those questions. Let me see if there's any what do you call those questions where people pay the money? What do you call those? Super chats. I'm gonna answer those first. If not, then I'm just gonna go down the line. All right. I don't see no super chats. So all right, let me start at the top. Let's see. So drop your questions. If you're coming in, guys, you haven't hit that like button. do me a favor and hit that like button. That was I had to put these presentations together. You know what I'm saying? So do your boy a favor, hit the like button. That just let me know you appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And that matters a lot to me. All right. And it also helps it get into the algorithm. So someone that might not be in the live can look at it at a later date and see it. But I appreciate it if you hit the like. And if you haven't subscribed and you like content like this, then hit that subscribe button as well. All right, let's start with these Q&A. Good, and we are on now. Carolina beat Duke. Carolina beat Duke. Atlanta, Georgia. I need loads ASAP. Are they cargo van loads? Because box trucking is Tuesday. Reserve the questions tonight, guys, for cargo vans. Cargo van questions only for the night. Box truck questions Tuesday, guys. I have a Sprinter van, Freightliner 2500 high roof. I need accounts, loads. Okay, where are you located, Mr. Hayes? Jose Fire, where are you located? What are you willing to do? Tell me where you're located, what you're willing to do, and I can point you in the right direction. Looking for no touch freight and a Sprinter. No touch freight and a Sprinter, you want to go with Echo Express. Trucker Diesel, you need to go with Echo Express. No touch in the Sprinter. Either Echo Express or you want to look on GoShare. June Transfer Express, Montgomery, Alabama. Emperor Walker, what's going on? How you feeling tonight? Jeremiah Howard, how you doing? Q&A session, guys. Drop your questions and I'll give you answers. Hit that like button, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Real quick before I go with some of these questions, with the rest of these questions, I should have did this earlier. This Tuesday, Mentors Podcast, episode 11, 2 days from now, 7:30 p.m. every Tuesday here on my YouTube and Facebook. This Tuesday, we're going to be talking about Final Mile, how to build a successful Final Mile box truck business. That's in 2 days. And then I got another one-off next week, guys. It's going to be a collaboration with Motivation and Box Trucking. We're going to be talking about keys for success for the upcoming peak season with Amazon Relay and Final Mile. All right, guys. So that's coming up. That's coming up Monday, October 24th at 7:30. Keys for success for the upcoming peak season with Amazon Relay and Final Mile. That's going to be with Motivation and Box Trucking. And then this Tuesday. And then when we do that Monday, I'm still going to be back on that Tuesday, the 25th. So this isn't going to replace my Tuesday night, guys. So I'll be on the 24th and the 25th, and then this Tuesday will be episode 11, how to build a successful Final Mile box truck business. All right, now let me get back to this Q&A. All right, volume for real. Do the routes and see how much you average weekly to give you a gauge of how much you can pay a driver. Yeah, so you need volume. You need volume for a van, volume as far as vehicles. And then you have to make sure you're in the right situation, because if you plan on really, really scaling up, you got to make sure you got a big enough margin with whatever accounts you pull to at a later date bring on some form of management. You're not going to be able to manage a van contract at that type of scale by yourself. And it's not, they're not hating. It's just you just won't be able to do it. You can't. You won't be able to do it. You're going to need help. All right. So just make sure you keep that in mind. All right. I create my own. Good luck. Excellent content. I appreciate you coming in as always, and supporting my content. All right, let's see here. I'm a contractor at Lasership and a sub at Waco. How do you like Lasership? A lot of people complain about Lasership. How do you like it? And what's give me a good comparison and contrast with Lasership and Waco. Thank you for the content, Charlie Wilson. Thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Thank you as always for the info. Would you go for the larger Sprinter versus the Transit? Me personally, I'm going for the Transit 3500 double wheelbase. Me personally, I think the Sprinter, I think a lot of people get caught up with just, I mean, it doesn't really cost too much more, but Me personally, I really just go with the Ford, the Transit 3500. Um, they got two different ones. They got the single wheelbase and they got the dual wheelbase. I'm gonna go with the dual wheelbase, 3500, because I want that extra weight capacity. Because this is something else I didn't talk about, guys. When you're in the cargo van business and you got a cargo van and you're running, let's say Monday through Friday, you still got Saturday and Sunday. There's plenty apps out here that you can go on and increase your earning potential. You can go on GoShare, you can go on Dolly, Roadie, Thumbtack, Hire Helper, Angie's List. There's plenty of apps you can always go do small odds and end jobs under the radar with a cargo van. All right. So it's sky's the limit. You just got to know how to work it. So even with big and bulky on Instacart, depending on your market, um, let's say for instance, Black Friday, a lot of people are going to get in those TVs, those 82 inches and 85 inches. It was a cluster last year when I went into Best Buy because everybody was getting those 82 inches for like $1,100,000. And guess what? They can't fit in their car. They couldn't even fit in the SUV. Cargo van on a day like Black Friday when 82 and 85-inch TVs are somewhere between $999 to $1,500, you're gonna make money all day long. With so many people standing outside waiting for those gig out people to pull up with their Sprinter vans off Dolly to take those big TVs to their homes. Days like that, that's when you maximize. Because 9 times out of 10, you probably won't be working that day anyway because of the holiday. If you got a contract where they give you that Friday off, so you got a van, you can hustle. All right, you can hustle. Best content on YouTube. I appreciate it. I appreciate you for checking in. I appreciate you for watching. Thank you very much. Trucker Diesel, thank you. Thank you. Q&A, guys, go ahead and drop those questions for your boy if you got them. I hope you enjoyed the presentation. As far as scaling a cargo van business, hit that like button. What up, Mark? What about enclosed trailers? I have a 24-foot just sitting and an F-250 Super Duty. I got the box trucks too, but wondering if the trailer will work. Trailer will work if you yourself are going to drive or you got somebody that knows how to whip that trailer. All right. We've done trailer work. You know what? I use trailers for like short, long distance moves, maybe going from here to Michigan, and it doesn't require a truck. And I'll hook a trailer up to like my pickup truck. I got a big Silverado, and I'll personally go take that. You got customers that hey, I got a dresser that needs to go from Chicago to my lake home in Michigan. Instead of me sending a truck up there and charging this customer arm and a leg because of the cost it takes, I'll just take one of my guys, hook a trailer up, a 6x12 up to the back of my truck, and I'll just run it up there for like $750, $800, which is still good. But just to run that one item just from here to Michigan, an hour and 45 minute truck, I'm gonna need at least $1,000. You know what I'm saying? So I think there is a market for you to work your even with moving. I've done jobs with um it all depends. You can go on these apps like Thumbtack and things of that nature. I would probably do like if you into moving like long distance moves, if you got a 24-foot trailer, you can do a long distance move in a 24-foot and save the customer a whole heck of a lot of money. And if you're bidding against other people, your bid should come in strong because you're pulling a trailer instead of a big truck. So yes, there's a market. And you just got to know how to work that trailer. A lot of jobs that I was able to get with trailer work, I was able to get because I was able to outbid and outthink the competition. You know what I'm saying? I know what it costs to run a truck from here to Mississippi if this customer really doesn't have much, right? And they don't want to go the route where they're paying an arm and a leg because I'm sending a truck down that way. Well, you know what? I want to win this bid, so man, skip it. I'm gonna have to strap up my boots because I'm not letting nobody drive my pickup truck. It's a personal pickup truck. I'll take these few items down there with a guy myself, and I can charge him maybe $1,000 or $1,500 less or whatever it is. Then I would have to charge him if I sent one of my box trucks to take these few items down. So yeah, it's a market for a trailer. You just got to know what the market is, know how to work it. You know of any accounts in St. Louis, Missouri? It depends on what you want to do. I mean, we talking about cargo vans, so what do you want to do? You want to do like office supply stuff? You want to do like assembly work? You gotta let me know what you want to do. There's plenty of accounts in St. Louis. It's a major city. From a contractor standpoint, you really treat it like an employee. They don't give a lot of information to plan out your days. You have to run 6 days a week. What company are you talking about? And I agree with you. But that goes back to like what I was talking about in the presentation of stage 6. You know, when you're an independent owner operating, you just one truck, you're on the bottom of the totem pole when you go into those logistics companies. So you're right. They do treat you as an employee, but you have to know your competitive edge. You know, you got to know your competitive edge, and you got to know your worth. All right. You know, and people ask me all the time, well, you know what, Mark, if I get this final mile account, do they train? The answer is no. You're an independent contractor. You work for yourself. You're not an employee. So no, they're not going to give you a lot of information. It's up to you as an owner operator and independent owner operator, independent contractor to know what you're getting into before you get into it. So I tell people that all the time, you know, but yeah, they can, you know, I've always, you know, and this is, it has been my strong point, but sometimes it can be my weaknesses. I know my worth, and I don't let people push me. I turn stuff away. I went into logistics companies and stood on business with them because they try to play with you. You know, I staged walkouts before. I had to stage a walkout at a logistics company. You know what I'm saying? I don't play no games when it comes to my money. You know what I'm saying? I don't play no, like, I don't let them treat me, you know, a certain type of way. Um, but you know, you just got to know your worth, and you got to stand on your business. And if you feel like you're not getting treated, you know, a certain type of way at one logistics company, man, it's plenty logistics companies out here that'll be more than happy to tell you like that. The competitiveness amongst the logistics company, like in Final Mile, is crazy because they're all fighting for the same few contractors. There's not too many people interested in doing it. So you just got to know your strengths and utilize those strengths to your best ability. And like I said, I'm gonna bring this back up. And let me see, what slide was that? Right here, step 6. Oops, I'm blocking it right here. Hold on 1 second. Step 6: develop a clear articulation of company's competitive strength in the eyes of the customer. They need to know it. They need to know you mean business. They need to know what you worth. You know what I'm saying? And trust me, they don't want to lose good people. You just got to let them know it. You know, you got to be vocal about it, and it's got to be visibly seen, and you got to stand on business. You only control your transportation what days your drivers work. The drivers have to be screened through them as well. Waco is less stops, almost same. Oh, you talking about the Waco comparison? I asked you for. Okay, Waco is less stops, almost same pay, but you would definitely need a big cargo. Right, Waco is similar to, what do they pay you, like $1.50, $1.75 a piece at Waco? So you must be talking about laser shipping in this first one then. Okay, I didn't read it all the way through. Yeah, I heard laser ship was kind of bad. A lot of people say they don't care about you. I never dealt with them. They're not here anyway in this market, so you only control the drivers have to be screened through them as well. Yeah. So any logistics company, more times than not, you're gonna have to be screened, and your drivers are gonna have to be screened. There's plenty of times where I was able to bypass the screening, you know, and that all goes with market and what logistics companies. Some of these companies, when they're like in dire need, on the verge of losing contracts, they do things that they're not supposed to do. There's been plenty of times where I was just sending people, sending people, sending people. You think when I was, those times where Dynamics was calling me and say, man, we got 2-3 routes left on the dock, and they're calling back to the office and saying, man, you got an extra truck and an extra body. You think that that body that I sent, obviously that body wasn't one of the bodies that was working on that contract. So you think they said, well, you know what, we need to screen them? No, they said, man, they just wanted the freight off the dock. So it's different, sometimes, you get, it's been plenty of accounts I had where I didn't have to screen them. You know what I'm saying? If a company is on the verge of losing an account, man, they'll do some underhanded stuff to keep that account and keep that client happy. Would you start out on apps like GoShare, Dolly, etc. for someone starting out in the cargo van business, trying to do more on-demand work to start? Are there contracts for on-demand? Yeah, I mean, starting out on GoShare, Dolly, I mean, that'll give you a great experience. And it'll give you experience in what to look for, and when you're going into these logistics companies, you know what I'm saying? And you can do it at your own will versus, when you get with the logistics company, you're dedicated 5 days a week for the most part with a cargo van. So if you want to get your feet wet um before you contract out with one of these companies and you're dedicated 5 days a week, then yeah, I say try out GoShare and Dolly and some of those other apps, and see how they work for you. Are there contracts for on demand? On demand is on demand. So it's kind of hard to contract something that you're not expecting. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're going to get day to day when you're doing like on demand courier work, because it's on demand. People call and say they need it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not something, it's on demand. That's what it is. All right, hit that like for me, guys, as you come into the room. Hit that like for me. Just reserve the questions tonight for cargo van, all the box truck questions for Tuesday. We'll be back here Tuesday for the Mentors podcast, like every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, which one is better? Market 26 26 for box truck business or the cargo van business? Which one? I guess it's a cargo, not solely a box truck question. So I'll answer this one. So which one is a better market? 26 for box truck business or the cargo van business? Which one would you recommend? Well, it depends. Obviously the box truck business is you're gonna make more money in a box truck. I don't know if you came in, but let me show you this chart real quick. Let me go back to this slide. What slide was it? All right, so if you look right here on this slide that I created, let me remove this so you can see it. Hold on 1 second. All right, if you look at this is what an average, this is not middle mile, this is final mile. All right, this is final mile. One box truck, 26 footer, average about $250,000 a year. All right, it would take about 4 vans to get to that, averaging about $72,000 a year per van. And this is a van that's working. This is a van that's working 5 days a week. This van's making about $1,500 a week, which is on the high end for cargo van contracted out. All right. It takes about 4 vans to get to that. It takes about 4 26-foot box trucks running final mile, 4 to 5 to touch $1 million. It takes about 15 cargo vans. All right. So the earning potential, you're going to get a greater number with less vehicles with a box truck than with the cargo van. But there's pros and cons. There's a lot more liability here, a lot more liability. And we're going to go over that Tuesday. I'm not going to really dig deep into that, but there's a lot more liability. You're talking about physical liability. You're talking about um, um, residential liability. There's a lot more liability at stake. When I say a lot, I can't express and expound on how much more liability final mile is compared to cargo van. The freight is a lot less expensive depending on what lane you're running. All right. If you're doing office supplies and you drop a ream of paper, $15 versus you dropping a $4,000 Samsung refrigerator. All right. So the earning potential is greater, but it's a lot more work. It requires more people versus cargo van works, depending on what you're doing. If you're doing like office supplies, liquor distribution, cabinets, things of that nature, it only requires one person. All right. Cost of entry is lower here versus here. Earning potential is higher here, but more liability, less liability here. Earning potential is a lot smaller. So it all depends on 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 what you want to do, what you want to make, and what you're willing to risk. Being a specialist final mile, that's where I made my money. I've never really done and liked middle mile. Early on, I said, no, this is it. And we focus on final mile. But man, you know what? You're dealing with a lot more liability. I don't want to get really into it because I want to reserve that since that's Tuesday's topic. So you got to kind of decide, do you want to go with the earning, making a lot more money, all right, and taking those risks, or do you want to make money, but it's gonna take more vehicles to scale up to get what you would make, let's say, for a 26-foot box truck would get with final mile. You just don't want to take the risk, and you don't want to deal with all the liability. You just rather do a lot of curbside um, package delivery, dropping on a doorstep. So that's really a decision that you would have to make. All right, where did I leave off at? Right here. What would one include in a did? What would one include in a bid? You mean a bid? A bid? I guess you mean bid. So what would one include in a bid? All right. So with most of these contracts, you're not really going to bid. They're going to pretty much go in and they're going to tell you what it is. And for the most part, you starting out, you may have to accept that. If you scale throughout uh your tenure at this said logistics company, then you may have more of a competitive edge and may be able to uh, uh, utilize your leverage to get more. Um, it's a different ball game when you're approached. When we were running Office Depot, we were there running IKEA already, and we were approached. You know what I'm saying? So it's a different story when you approach and like, versus when you're applying. When you're applying, let's say you're scaling, if you feel like and you have that competitive edge and you got leverage, that's when you can kind of, like I say, lean on them and request more. You know what I'm saying? That all depends on what your operating expenses are. See, me, I've never went out and bought really expensive vehicles. So I was able to operate on a third going in. So I said, look, when they said, Mark, can you help us out with this Office Depot? I said, well, how many vehicles do you need? They said, as many as you can send us. See, when they say as many as you can send us, those key words, I'm a vulture. I listen to all that. Okay. Well, okay. So now I know they desperate. All right, I need 300 per vehicle a day because I already do the math in my head. A third. The third going to go to the truck. If the route costs $50 to run and fuel, we own the trucks. All right. Then that other 50, we banking that for cash flow. All right. The driver getting 100, the company getting 100. So 2,700 on gross, net at the company $900 a day in revenues just for that one account. That's how I operate. Now, if you in a situation where you're renting vehicles or you went out and you purchased expensive vans or expensive trucks and things of that nature, your margins may be a little bit tighter. You know what I'm saying? So that all depends on you. Rule of thumb for me, in situations like that, a third, 33%. Mark, are there any load boards for cargo vans? Yeah, you can go on the dat load board, and just look for partials. I mean, the options may be slim pickings, but um, I would look more. I don't even want to say gig based apps. You know where you might want to look? You might want to look at Echo Express. If you want to do OTR in a cargo van, you might want to go Echo Express. You might want to go Echo Express. You're talking about Lasership. Yeah, I figured you were talking about Lasership. I make sure I get incentives for certain stops. Yeah, I haven't really. I've heard mixed reviews about Lasership. Q&A, guys. Q&A. Please keep the questions reserved for cargo van um, questions, guys. Cargo van questions. We're going to talk box trucking Tuesday. Cargo van questions, guys. Hit that like button as you come in. If you haven't hit it, hit the like button for me. If you're new to the channel and you like the content, do me a favor and please subscribe to the channel for more content. We do a podcast every Tuesday called the Mentors Podcast, where we talk about box trucking, and then every now and again I'll do a one-off um like this. Real quick shameless plug. I got this Tuesday we're talking about how to build a successful final mile box truck business. That's this Tuesday, 10 8 10 7:30, which will be episode 11. And then next Monday I got a one-off with motivation and box trucking. And I'll be hosting that on my channel and Facebook, and that'll be keys for success this upcoming peak season with Amazon Relay and Final Mile. All right, so let me get back to the Q&A. Can you help with accounts in Chicago to make $1,000 a day with a cargo van? That's going to be tough. $1,000 a day in a cargo van, man. I don't know, man. That's I ain't finna sit here and man, making $1,000 a day in a 26-foot box truck carrying refrigerators up 3 flights of stairs, man. So I haven't in my years. I've never come across no $1,000 day in a cargo van. Now, yeah, no. I don't know, man. If you find that out, you let me know. That's in a cargo van. Nah, man. I don't think so, bro. My route is one of the routes that pays the most per stop. I've done multiple routes. Okay, that's with laser ship, right? I would like to do assembling, paper, or both in cargo van. What's a few good logistics company? All right, so if you want to do assembly work, you want to go with Select Express. They got Bye Bye Baby, which is a good one. They also have Dick's Sporting Goods. You're probably going to need a second person for that one. They took over Go Configure, so in the springtime, summertime, they got a lot of basketball goals with in-ground basketball goals. They also have fitness equipment with Go Configure as well. So treadmills and things of that nature, you may require an extra person. They also have Peloton. That's going to require another person. One-man things, you probably can go with Bye Bye Baby with Select Express. And they also have Container Store West Elm, Bye Bye Baby. And I think that's it that probably one man can get done. So yeah, you want to look into Select Express if you want to do the assembly. Now, if you want to do paper, you need to look at T Force and see if T Force is hiring in your market in St. Louis, and if or Waco, see if they're down there. I think T Force might be in St. Louis, or maybe both of them are. But T Force has Office Depot, Waco has Staples. So T Force, Waco, and Select Express. The contractor at Waco got paid per piece. He paid all drivers $250 a day. That's good money then. That's good money. It sounds about he probably paying them about half. So his routes are probably maxed out because I think they pay like $1.75 a piece. So his probably routes are getting about 200 pieces a day. Does having a my own warehouse help, and how would I present it to companies? If you got your own warehouse, you want to look at a company called Nonstop Delivery. That's the company I used, that sent me freight with a warehouse. That's the only company that is going to middle mile you the freight so you can final mile it from your location. But you have to have a sizable warehouse. It can't be like a little small warehouse because Nonstop has a ton of accounts: US Mattress, Human Touch. Man, the list goes on. US Mattress, Human Touch, a bunch of online accounts, online furniture store accounts, Home Depot, HD, what's that? HD Supply, Home Depot. They got a bunch of accounts. So you got to have a sizable warehouse. Hey Mark, what mediums you use to find good help? Well, finding good help nowadays is very hard. It's not as easy as it used to be. So it was so easy before that I didn't have to go look for it. They would come looking for, me, just come man, can I apply? Things of that nature. But now it's just different. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to run ads on Indeed daily. You're gonna have to have incentives, and you're gonna have to pay very handsomely. When I say handsomely, I mean very well. It's just hard to find people nowadays. If you're in an industry where it's less labor intensive, then yeah. So now in the cargo van business, for the one man, like doing office supply stuff, you can find those people, a lot easier than you would be able to like final mile or even middle mile people not being wanting to be away from home. I would say for a cargo van business, if you're doing like office supply stuff, you probably want to put ads up on Indeed, keep them up there, and you want to look for a lot of those turnover Amazon DSP drivers that have delivered for Amazon before. There's plenty of them because their turnover rate is high. That's who you probably want to be looking for and attract and just pay them very well, because those contractors that deal with Amazon and the DSP is like they're capped, so they can only pay them so much. You know what I'm saying? You want to pay exceptionally well, and you should be able to do fine with the cargo van. It's a little bit harder for when you get up to the trucking. It's not going to be a easy task either for the cargo van, but I believe that there is a large amount of DSP drivers that come with experience that you would probably want to target for the cargo van business, and you can do that on Indeed. What's a good price for a cargo van? It all depends. Cargo vans hold their weight and value. All right. I bought one cargo van in my career. The other cargo vans we've used were we rented. When I was looking to buy a cargo van, I was looking at the Ford Transit 3500. At that time, it was 33,000. I don't know what it costs now, but the point I'm trying to make is I was looking at cargo vans that had 100, 150, 190,000 miles. This is before the pandemic. We're talking about 2014. 190,000, 150,000 miles that was still $22,000, $23,000. A new cargo van was 28. That's how well cargo vans and pickup trucks really hold their value strong. So it just made more sense to spend the extra $6, $6,000, and just go get a new cargo van. Cargo vans hold their value very well. Cargo vans and pickup trucks, they're work vehicles. The dealers understand this, they know this. That's why they hold their value. Probably a little worse now, uh, dealing with the global chip shortage. So what I would do is, if you're on the market for a cargo van, whatever cargo van you decide on, make sure you compare and contrast the new versus the averages of the used ones you're seeing. And if it's a small number in between, just go get a new one. $6,000 just didn't make sense for me to spend 22, 23,000 when they're all got 150, 160, 170, 80, 90,000 miles on them. And for 22, 23, when a brand new one was 28. So, and then you get the new one, you get the rebate. So I like to contract with Staples or Office Depot, but in my area we don't have Waco. Should I contact these stores? Right? Check and see if T Force is in your area. Waco has Staples. T Force has Office Depot. So check in your area. Since there's no Waco, check see if T Force is your area and they have Staple. T Force has Office Depot. Send me the info to reach out for the mentorship you give in game, and know it requires your time. Let me just type it in real quick. That's gonna be www dot box truck courses .com. All right, so it'll be www.boxtruckcourses.com. And what I'll do is I'll pin it to the top. Let me pin it real quick. All right, so that's if you want the mentorship. Let me make sure I spelled it right. Yeah. All right, www.boxtruckcourses.com. That's where you can go for the mentorship. All right. All right, Q&A, guys. Any questions? Any more questions uh, regarding the presentation, cargo van business, cargo vans, scaling cargo vans? Any questions from the presentation? Any questions regarding accounts? Is this something that you guys like? Um, as far as cargo vans, is this something that people would be more interested? People are interested in talking about versus box trucks? Because if there is um an avenue for it online, I mean, I don't mind building out another night coming on live, focusing on cargo vans. I just don't want to build out a night and it's just not enough interest there. You know what I'm saying? I'll incorporate it into Tuesday night, but Tuesday nights, the people that know, that Q&A session can go 3-4 hours sometimes. So that's why I kind of wanted to. If you look at the timestamp for Tuesday nights podcast, man, I think 7 hours was the highest, but it averages around 4 hours. So I don't really want to incorporate cargo van stuff with box trucking if I don't have to. I don't mind building out another night. I just need to make sure that the interest is there. What are some good questions to ask logistics companies before contacting them? How many days a week is the contract? What's the pay rate? Are they paying per piece, per route, per stop? Um, is there is there is there room to grow? Or is there room to grow? Um, those are the three main questions that I would ask. Um, pay rate, pay rate, how per piece, per stop, per route. Room for growth, and then what was the first one I said? Oh, how many days a week? How many days a week? All right. Any more questions, guys? Any more questions? All right. This Tuesday, episode 11, how to build a successful final mile box truck business. That's be this Tuesday. Back here at 7:30 p.m. For the Mentors podcast, and then next Monday, doing a one-off collaboration with Motivation Box Trucking, keys for success for the upcoming peak season, and we'll be talking about Amazon Relay, and we'll be talking about final mile. All right. Is there a way to build a nationwide network with serious people who celebrate and create and set up and create and set ups? UPS, FedEx. Is there a way to build a nationwide network with serious people who celebrate and create? I don't know. Um, I'm trying to do that right now with the box trucking and the cargo van, but even with this, it can be kind of hard because there's a lot of other different personalities out there, and everybody has who they go to for information. Sometimes people's information may not align, and then I see a lot of back and forth. So I that's a good question. I'm trying to do it with this, and every now and again I get I don't really get hate, but I see people kind of running back and forth, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, I'm trying to build it out right now for the box truck community. I haven't never done UPS, I've never done FedEx, so those wouldn't be two lanes where I would express interest in building that out. I can only focus on what I know, and I try to stick to what I know, you know what I'm saying? So, but I mean, I think that would be something that would be cool. I know if someone that worked in UPS or FedEx did it, it would be dope because they could probably scale it out. And I'm probably sure there are some Facebook groups probably for UPS employees and FedEx employees. I mean, they're unionized, so I'm pretty sure something out like that exists out there. Once you buy a cargo van, what's the next step to get loads? Once you buy a cargo van, you need to make sure you got all your ducks in a row as far as your licensing. Um, and then once if you got all your ducks in a row and you got your cargo van, then you can start going to apply for contracts either with logistics companies, or you can, with the cargo van, there's a lot of successful people that run off the apps with a cargo van. It's more successful people running off the apps with a cargo van than trucks because it's built out for them that way. Dolly, excuse me, Go Share. Um, there's a few other ones, Roadie, um, um, Thumbtack, uh, Angie's List. Like, and just having a cargo van doesn't mean you have to deliver stuff. All right. There's people on Thumbtack that have cargo vans and all they do is mount TVs all day. They pick up flat screens and mount them all day, all day. 300 bucks. 300 bucks, 150 bucks, 200 bucks, depending on what the scope of the job for the mount is. You know what I'm saying? And they do this all day long. Now, if you do the math, you're averaging somewhere between 100 to 300 bucks per stop. You can do about 7, 8 stops a day. That's good money. You know, only requires one guy. If a person has a 70-inch, 65, 85 inch, you just ask the customer, I can do it, but I'm gonna need help putting it on the mount. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say, yeah, I can help you. But I know people that are doing that with their cargo van. All right. It all is up to you. A cargo van is a tool. It's a tool and it can be used in many different ways. It does not necessarily have to be used solely and specifically for package and parcel delivery. All right. It can be used in many different facets, you know. So yeah, there's plenty of apps you can um go to. I just named a few: Thumbtack, Hire Helper, Angie's List, Go Share. Shoot, even with Instacart, you got the big and bulky now. You don't have to do the groceries. You can, if you're in a large enough market, you can just focus on the Costco and the Best Buy and the other big retailers dealing with flat screens and Costco. You might have to pick up some lumber or something, or not Costco. I think Home Depot, or is it Lowe's? Lowe's, you might have to pick up some lumber or something. So there's plenty of different options, plenty of different opportunities. Bungie, that's another one. Staples and Office Depot are garbage and heavy, and nobody wants to do this runs. I disagree with you. I disagree with you. You know, my claim to fame was Office Depot and IKEA. I made a lot of money off Office Depot, but I did it at scale, and I had people that was willing to do it every day with no problem, with no complaints. So I disagree with that. I disagree with that. And I'm not speaking from an individual who's out there doing the work. I think you're in Chicago. I'm in Chicago. I ran Office Depot at scale, and people rather do that. When I took people off of Final Mile to do that, you think they complain? No, they didn't complain. They're not lifting furniture all day. You go from lifting furniture and refrigerators and washers and dryers. People that were on the contracts with the heavy stuff. Man, Mark, can I go over to Office Depot? People would, man, when the Office Depot route opened up, man, can you switch me over? So I guess it all depends on the situation. Like, I didn't have issues with people complaining about Office Depot. People were asking me, can they switch over to Office Depot? And the money was okay because I'm operating at scale. $300 a day per route for me is fine. $100 per route net, that's good. I ain't tripping on that. You can also deliver final mile with cargo vans, small furniture location drivers for. Yeah, we talked about that earlier. I gave them some some accounts like Select Express, Peloton, things of that nature. But you got to find a logistics company that are welcoming for cargo vans. Select Express is probably one of the most welcoming um, logistics company that has a lot of accounts uh, for cargo vans. There's a few other ones out there, but you just got to find the ones that welcome cargo vans for that type of work. When starting out interstate for the gig type apps, what kind of commercial insurance should I get? Well, you're gonna get your million, and depending on what your state, your 100 for cargo. And if you gotta get well, I'm in some state oh man, it's on the tip of my tongue. Workers comp for your state, then you might have to get workers comp too. How would the California bill you spoke on affect the cargo van industry. AB5, they're just gonna be employees. There's gonna be employees. Gotta pay them like employees. Gotta pay them as employees. They wouldn't be contractors anyway if you're providing the vehicles. That was pretty much for people that were leased on. So if you have vehicles, a fleet of vehicles, they'll be employees anyway. You can classify them as contractors. They're driving your vehicles, so they just be employees. All right. Any more questions? Questions? All right. If no more questions, guys, this Tuesday, uh, we'll be talking about how to build a successful final mile box truck business, and then next Monday, keys for success for the upcoming peak season with Amazon Relay, and this will be a collaboration with Motivation and Box Trucking. Other than that, if there's no more questions, guys, I'll see you guys Tuesday. Hold on, I think some question popped up here. What are good companies supply other than Amazon for a box truck? Thanks for what you do, Mark. No problem. Appreciate you for checking in. All right, what are good companies to apply for other than Amazon for a box truck? If you got a 26-foot box truck, you can go final mile. If you don't want to go final mile, then the only other option is to run the boards. That's pretty much it, man. You can either run the boards, which Amazon Relay is the boards. It's just their own internal. It's their own internal intranet, I guess you would say, for lack of other words, their own internal load board. You just have to run the other boards, your selectors, your DAT, all those boards. If you don't want to do that, then you got to get another guy or two, and you got to come on the final mile side and run freight and home delivery of furniture and appliances. Um, so the choice is there's really not too many other options for you with your 26-foot box truck. This is just the game. All right, any more questions? Time is at 9:27. Any more questions? All right, guys. I appreciate everyone for checking in. We'll probably do something else. I'll see what the sentiment is based around cargo van, but looking and judging from this whole rental truck debacle, I think the cargo van business interest is going to still be peaked. So I'll probably build out another live stream. I'm not going to dedicate myself to a specific night right now for cargo vans, because I need to see what the sentiment is and just see if the interest holds going into peak season. I'm trying to open. I'm trying to open the two people dropping freight at my warehouse, and we do the final mile. We send loads back. Check out Nonstop. See, here's the thing. And I know I've talked about this before. One warehouse isn't going to cut it for contracts. And, people don't really understand that until I explain it to you. When you're dealing with contracts and you're dealing with big retailers, it's good that you have your one warehouse, but that's the thing. It's just one. When you're dealing with retailers that operate nationally, they're looking for national logistics companies that have warehouses across the country and that can manage and distribute and fulfill and deliver their freight on a national scale. So let's say if you're in Boise, Idaho, and you got your one your one warehouse, and you get an account with, let's say, X retailer. What about the other, 49 states and cities across America? You know what I'm saying? They don't want to write a bunch of checks. They rather write 2 or 3 checks to 2 or 3 big companies that are handling their freight on national scale. So that's why, independent guys with warehouses can't get those big contracts, because um they can't promise, they can't handle them on a national level. These companies are looking for national logistics companies that can handle on their freight on a national scale. So in your situation, you want to get with a company that deals with companies in different markets. And the only one I can think of is the one that I've dealt with for years, and that's Nonstop Delivery. So you probably want to check them out and see if they have opportunity in your market. See if your market has enough volume for them to want to pick up maybe a person with a warehouse. All right, any more questions? If not, I'm gonna get out of here, and I'll see you guys Tuesday at 7:30, the Mentors Podcast with me, Mark the Mentor. Thank you for everybody that came out. I'll probably do another cargo van show maybe in 2 weeks with another topic. Like I said, I'll see what the sentiment is, see if the interest is still there, and keep an eye on this rental truck thing and see if the rental truck companies keep pushing people over to cargo vans. If so, like I said, I'll build out another night, probably on another Sunday for cargo vans. Other than that, if there's no more questions, I'll see you guys Tuesday night at 7:30. I'm out.